Why do intelligent, successful, well-intentioned individuals repeatedly fail to become the person they want to be? Most people know what they should do. They know they should exercise, eat better, manage their emotions, improve relationships, stop procrastinating, become more patient, learn new skills, and pursue meaningful goals. The problem is rarely a lack of knowledge. The problem is execution. Goldsmith argues that the missing piece is our failure to understand the overwhelming influence of the environment. We imagine that behavior is controlled primarily by motivation, discipline, intelligence, or willpower. In reality, our daily actions are constantly being shaped by forces around us. These forces are what Goldsmith calls triggers. A trigger is any stimulus that influences behavior. It can be a person, a situation, a location, an emotion, a notification, a memory, a conversation, a deadline, a social expectation, or even a habit loop developed years earlier. Some triggers move us toward our goals, others move us away from them. Most people underestimate their power because triggers often operate automatically. A person may intend to eat healthy foods, but walks into a social gathering where unhealthy options dominate. Someone intends to remain calm, but receives a provocative email. An employee plans to focus on important work, but receives constant notifications throughout the day. In each case, the environment exerts influence. The individual believes they are making free choices, yet those choices are being shaped by external conditions. One of Goldsmith's most important observations is that people are excellent planners, but poor predictors of future behavior. We create goals while sitting in calm environments. We design schedules when we are relaxed. We make commitments when we are motivated. Then we attempt to execute those commitments inside complex, distracting, emotionally charged environments. The version of ourselves that makes plans is not the same version that must carry them out. The planning self imagines ideal conditions. The executing self encounters reality. This gap between intention and execution explains why many personal development systems fail. People assume they will have more discipline tomorrow than they possess today. They assume future circumstances will cooperate. They assume motivation will remain constant. Goldsmith argues that these assumptions are usually false. The book spends considerable time exposing the false beliefs people hold about change. One common illusion is the belief that willpower is enough. Many individuals assume that if they simply want something badly enough, they will do it. Goldsmith challenges this idea by pointing out that even highly successful individuals frequently fail to follow through on commitments. Desire alone does not guarantee action. Another illusion is the belief that tomorrow will somehow be different. People repeatedly postpone difficult actions because they imagine future versions of themselves will be more disciplined, more energized, more focused, or more motivated. Yet tomorrow usually resembles today. Without changes to behavior and environment, the same patterns tend to repeat. Another false belief involves the idea that special circumstances justify abandoning commitments. People tell themselves that today is unusual, today is stressful, today is busy, today is a holiday, today is an exception. Because there is always another exception, meaningful change never gains momentum. Goldsmith argues that lasting transformation requires accepting reality rather than waiting for ideal conditions. Life will always contain distractions, frustrations, interruptions, temptations, and uncertainty. Successful people do not wait for perfect circumstances. They learn to operate effectively within imperfect environments. One of the book's most influential contributions is the distinction between passive questions and active questions. Goldsmith believes that the questions people ask themselves determine where responsibility is placed. Passive questions encourage individuals to evaluate outcomes, while subtly assigning responsibility to external conditions. Questions such as, "Am I happy?" or "Am I successful?" focus attention on results. Because outcomes are influenced by many factors, passive questions often encourage blame. People answer by pointing to circumstances, coworkers, family members, economic conditions, or bad luck. Active questions operate differently. Instead of asking whether a desired outcome exists, they ask whether the individual made a genuine effort. Goldsmith's famous example is the difference between asking, "Am I happy?" and asking, "Did I do my best to be happy?" The first question invites evaluation of circumstances. The second question demands personal accountability. It shifts focus from what happened to what the individual contributed. This shift is psychologically powerful because it restores agency. People cannot control every outcome, but they can influence effort. Active questions encourage ownership rather than victimhood. Goldsmith developed a system of daily active questions designed to create awareness and accountability. A common version includes 6 core questions. Did I do my best to set clear goals? Did I do my best to make progress toward my goals? Did I do my best to find meaning? Did I do my best to be happy? Did I do my best to build positive relationships? Did I do my best to be fully engaged? These questions are intentionally structured around effort rather than outcomes. The objective is not perfection. The objective is consistent awareness. By answering these questions daily, individuals create a feedback loop that encourages behavioral improvement.
The power of these questions comes from measurement. Goldsmith frequently emphasizes that what gets measured gets improved. Most people operate on assumptions about their behavior. They assume they are productive, focused, patient, or disciplined. Measurement reveals reality. When individuals assign numerical scores to their daily effort, patterns emerge. Strengths become visible. Weaknesses become visible. Excuses become harder to maintain. Behavioral change accelerates because awareness increases. Many people discover that the gap between who they think they are and how they actually behave is larger than expected. A major framework in the book is the concept known as the Wheel of Change. This model helps individuals understand the different dimensions of personal transformation. The first quadrant involves creating. Creating refers to positive changes that do not yet exist. Examples include developing new habits, learning new skills, building stronger relationships, improving health, or establishing productive routines. Creation requires deliberate effort because something new must be introduced into life. The second quadrant involves preserving. Many people focus exclusively on change while neglecting what is already working. Preserving means identifying valuable habits, relationships, strengths, and systems, and protecting them. Successful individuals often maintain excellence not because they constantly reinvent themselves, but because they consistently preserve what already creates value. The third quadrant involves eliminating. Elimination requires removing negative influences. This may involve toxic relationships, destructive habits, limiting beliefs, distractions, unhealthy routines, or environments that undermine progress. Growth is often as much about subtraction as addition. Moving obstacles can create dramatic improvements without adding anything new. The fourth quadrant involves accepting. Acceptance addresses aspects of life that cannot be changed. Some realities are permanent. Some circumstances are beyond individual control. Acceptance does not mean surrender. It means directing energy toward productive responses instead of fighting reality. Many people waste enormous emotional energy resisting facts they cannot alter. Acceptance frees that energy for meaningful action. Another major theme throughout Triggers is the importance of structure. Goldsmith argues that most self-improvement efforts fail because they rely too heavily on motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Structure remains. Individuals often know exactly what they should do, but fail to create systems that support execution. Structure includes schedules, routines, reminders, accountability mechanisms, environmental design, and tracking systems. The purpose of structure is to reduce dependence on emotional states. When good behaviors are built into the environment, they become easier to execute consistently. Goldsmith frequently discusses accountability as a critical component of change. Human beings are remarkably skilled at rationalizing behavior. We explain failures, justify exceptions, and reinterpret events in ways that protect self-esteem. Accountability interrupts this process. When another person regularly asks whether commitments were honored, awareness increases. Accountability creates social pressure, which often strengthens follow-through. Goldsmith has personally used daily accountability systems for years, demonstrating his belief that even experts benefit from external support. The book repeatedly returns to the distinction between the planner and the executor. The planner is the version of ourselves that creates goals, designs schedules, and imagines future success. The planner is optimistic. The planner believes change will be easy. The executor lives in reality. The executor experiences fatigue, temptation, emotional fluctuations, interruptions, and competing priorities. Most plans fail because the planner dramatically overestimates the capabilities of the executor. Effective behavior change requires designing systems that support the executor rather than relying on the planner's optimism.
Reflection is another essential practice in Goldsmith's framework. Without reflection, behavior drifts. Priorities become blurred, habits weaken. Daily review creates awareness. Awareness enables adjustment. Small daily corrections prevent large deviations from goals. Reflection transforms behavior from something automatic into something intentional. The practical applications of triggers extend into every major area of life. In professional settings, active questions encourage individuals to focus on effort, learning, relationship building, and meaningful contribution. In health, they shift attention toward daily behaviors rather than distant outcomes. In relationships, they encourage personal responsibility for communication, listening, appreciation, and emotional presence. In personal development, they reinforce learning, growth, and continuous improvement. Perhaps the most important lesson in the entire book is that lasting change is rarely the result of a dramatic breakthrough. It is usually the result of increased awareness combined with consistent behavioral accountability. People often search for new strategies while ignoring existing behaviors. Goldsmith argues that transformation begins by paying attention. By noticing triggers, tracking effort, asking active questions, building supportive structures, and accepting responsibility for daily choices, individuals dramatically increase their ability to become the person they want to be. The ultimate message of triggers is that behavior does not occur in isolation. Every day, people are influenced by countless environmental forces. Most of these forces operate automatically and unconsciously. Those who fail to recognize them often become victims of circumstances. Those who learn to identify triggers, design supportive environments, ask active questions, and maintain accountability gain a significant advantage. They stop waiting for motivation, stop blaming circumstances, and begin deliberately shaping their actions. According to Goldsmith, meaningful personal transformation is not achieved through inspiration alone. It is achieved through awareness, responsibility, measurement, structure, and the willingness to win small behavioral battles repeatedly. Over time, these small victories accumulate, allowing individuals to gradually become the person they have always intended to be.